I anticipate I'm probably going to talk for just maybe 10 minutes or so. Like Catherine said, this one's fairly straightforward. Um, so sharing my screen, and in addition to starting to accumulate YouTube videos, we're building more written documentation on things and putting it under the branch team shares, training and resources, Eclipse. If you don't have access or ability to get to this drive, could you please email me and Catherine? Catherine, I think you're actually more adept at me than getting this loaded for people, but I'll get better at it. But anyhow, we are putting more things here, including a quick guide on job queues, which is what I'm presenting today. So we'll talk about what the heck is a job queue, how to create them, how to view them, how to create them, how to view them, how to append, which is kind of like replying to them, and how to close them. So again, this is all covered in the quick guide, little 2-page document here. So job queues are used when you want to notify your coworker about something, or perhaps request them to do something. You can use job queues throughout Eclipse. Often they're created like from sales orders or purchase orders, but as far as I know, you could really be just about anywhere in Eclipse. You could be in customer maintenance, vendor maintenance, sales orders, purchase orders, transfers, product maintenance, et cetera, et cetera. And from whatever screen you're working in, and I'll demonstrate this in a moment, whatever screen you're working in, you would kind of like click on what you want to share. For example, in a sales order, you would click on the product, and then you click Shift F4. So let me demonstrate that. So in a sales order or purchase order transfer, I'd say odds are what you're wanting to communicate about is probably a specific product. It doesn't have to be. But if I want to communicate about a specific product, then I want to make sure that I'm clicked on that product. And then you hit Shift F4. On a laptop, you may also have to hit the function key. So I'm working on a laptop right now. I actually have to hit function Shift F4 altogether. On my laptop, sometimes I have to do it 2 or 3 times. Hold on, it's not coming up. Bear with me. I was testing this earlier. Normally I have a keyboard plugged in, and that keyboard was being finicky. So I was like, I'll just do this on my laptop. And I tested it a few times. Okay, let me go to my other keyboard. Sorry about that, folks. Technical difficulties, of course.
I think he muted himself.
Uh-oh, Matt, now we can't hear you either.
Sorry, folks. I was testing this up until about 10 minutes ago, and it was working just fine. Let me try one more time.
Yeah, if it's on the laptop, it's Shift, then function F4.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. I mean,
I think you might shift and then function. I don't know if you can do function and then shift.
Yeah, reverse it maybe. He muted himself again. Matt?
So odd, it's not showing him muted. But Matt, we can't hear you.
No, it's muted. It's muted through the laptop. That's why.
Sorry about that. Yeah, as I was saying, normally I use a larger plug-in keyboard, but that keyboard wasn't behaving right, so I rebooted, and then I was testing just on the laptop. Yeah, like you said, it's kind of finicky with exactly when you hit Shift, Function, and F4. At any rate, shouldn't be as big a deal with a normal keyboard. But when you hit that, you get this little window that pops up, and I would say to keep it simple, I would always choose different user. And then this is going to be the person that you're sending the job queue to. I have a dummy user called Eclipse test that I'm going to use here. I would also, in most cases, to keep it simple, I would just leave next action and final action as yourself. It seems to work a little bit easier. At any rate, when I send this, and I can add whatever message I want, it's going to give them links to the sales order. CN is customer number, and PN is product number. So they're going to get links with different options for all of these, but you want to tell them what the heck, to look at. So perhaps for a specific product, I'm saying, can we please stock more of these? Then, like most places in Eclipse, you just close out of the window. Now, if I have magic powers in Eclipse, so I can change and become that Eclipse test user, just to show you what it's going to look like on their side. So the person you send the job queue to is going to get messaged, and they're going to have a link to the job queue. When they click on that, they're going to see your note, and then, as I said, they're going to have different links.
That could be it.
So, for example, if they click on the part number, it's actually going to give them more choices. It's basically saying, well, what do you want to see, to do with that product? So that's kind of handy. The person receiving the job queue can do their research or whatever action, whatever they're asked to do. And then to reply to the job queue, sort of like replying to an email, but it's called appending. So you click New Append. You can reply to multiple people if you want by clicking this little symbol here. Again, most places in Eclipse, when you're done with the screen, click the X in the upper right. Now I'm going to switch back to my login. So I was the person who sent the job queue to that Eclipse test user, and then they responded back to me. So now when there's an update to a job queue, then the person who started the job queue will also get messaged back. So really, like I said earlier, it's a pretty versatile tool throughout Eclipse. It can be used for many different purposes. When the job queue has been addressed, so whatever I ask someone to do or research, etc., once that's done and I'm satisfied we're all good, then if I'm the person who kind of initiated this, then I should go ahead and close it out by clicking Close Tracker. Then when you go back into the tracker, I like that it puts it in red to indicate that it's closed, and it also says closed up here. So it's just kind of housekeeping to say, okay, we're all, whatever it was we set out to do here, we're all done, we're good. Really, the last thing I want to show you on job queues is, you know, you can work with your job queues through the messaging screen, no problem. You know, you'll get a link to it each time there's a new one or there's a change. If you deal with job queues a lot, the other option is to go into the job queue screen itself, which is this little stack icon up here. From here, there's some different choices. I usually just go selection type all, and then I see all of the job queues that I'm a part of. And from here, of course, I can click into any of my job queues. What I also like to do here is click options and expanded view. And this is in the quick guide document as well. So again, I wouldn't recommend this to everybody, but if you are dealing with a bunch of job queues each day and want kind of one screen to go into to keep track of them all and work with them all, then you can use that option. That's all I've got. Sorry again for that. Sorry again for that technical difficulty. That bugs me. I guess maybe I wasn't hitting the keys correctly on my laptop there.
Hey, Matt, can you give us the example if they want to send it to multiple users? Because a lot of times they do have to send them to multiple users.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Function Shift F4 on a laptop. Right. Kind of have to hit Shift first, then Function, then F4. So when you go and create one, I always choose different user. Now it's only going to let you choose one person at this juncture, but hold on. Once you're in the screen, then you can click on forward list. And add as many people as you like. So each person on the forward list will get the Eclipse message.
Matt, can you comment about the column there, status?
I'm not. Yeah, this is something.
Sometimes it does show as hot in a job.
Right. I think that's something that some folks may use a little bit differently, just to designate, you know, to kind of categorize the job queue. Actually, this morning, Dawn and I were in Eileen's office, and we talked about possibly adding more kind of categories or statuses here. So.
Yeah, I use it more to designate when if it's something really urgent that I need people to look at, because everything defaults to new item, which kind of makes people desensitized because everything says new item. So I like to use hot if it's something that I really need them to pay attention to. Yeah, I was thinking about different statuses like price issue or receiving problem or something to designate exactly what the job queue is about. So that would give the user who's getting it to know, well, do I need to react on this right away or not, kind of thing.
So possibly more to come on that.
Great. Any other questions or thoughts or?
Hey, Matt, this is Bernie. I got a question for you. I work on a road quite a bit with applications and going out looking at things, and I might have some time sensitive items that I need to know about. Is there any way when they're communicating to me through this that it can Eclipse send me out like an email or something like that to notify me, hey, something's going on, to just save other people other work? And that goes from corporate right on through, because sometimes I have rooftops that have been on order for 6, 7, 8 months and something's changed and I don't know it's changed until I look at my calendar and, and check in my own orders. So is there any way that can red flag me when I'm on the road for 8, 9, 10 hours at a time?
Well, let me ask. So there is something in user maintenance, and for this, I am going to defer for kind of user maintenance things. I need to defer to Eileen and Scott, but I know in user maintenance there is a setting for Eclipse messages in general. So, for example, I get all of whether it's a job queue or any kind of message from Eclipse emails me. I don't know if you can distinguish between a job queue and another type of message, or if it's just any Eclipse message, will email you. So you can absolutely do that. If you don't mind, please
Sure.
email or contact Eileen and Scott.
Eileen? Okay.
But yeah, that can be done.
We should look at that for all the territory managers.
Absolutely, Chris. Yes.
Yeah. Again, the only part I don't know is if you can distinguish and say, all right, I want all. I think it's just any Eclipse message, whether it's system generated, job queue, etc., will email you. But there might be more options there that she might know about.
I think the person who's sending it needs to know where that person is at, because they can email it straight from the job queue, straight to whoever. But they have to be aware that that person needs to be emailed. A lot of times, if I know Nick's on the road, I'll put a queue in, but then I email it to him because I know he might not be looking at it at that moment.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, that's the only way I know. It'd be nice if it did have some kind of default.
Yeah. The other, not to get on too much of a tangent, but so what to kind of cover all of my bases, like what I took vacation the other week, so I go into Eclipse, and you contact me offline for this, but in your scheduler you can indicate that you're out of office. But because I think sometimes we do rely on messaging people in Eclipse, and then you're going to assume that they're going to get the message when really they might be away for a few days or something. So I think it's good to think about all those different kind of modes of communication.
Bernie and anyone else is a outside salesperson on the call, I'll write Eileen and copy Bernie. I'll copy you, for example, and we'll see if we can get a solution to that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
I was just going to add, I know Dawn's group and I believe accounting will send job queues. So I think, we have job queues coming from the 55 office to folks at the branches, but, really how you use this, or if you want to use this within your own branch, it's kind of up to you. I mean, it's sending these job queues is like emailing somebody, but the advantage is, it stays within Eclipse and it provides those links to things. So does anybody use job queues with just, within your own branch, or do you think you might, or not really? Kind of putting that out there.
No, it's used a lot from counter to warehouse. That's how they pretty much, communicate, even with transfers or anything like that. So,
yeah, I agree with Chris on that. We use it internally.
Good.
And as a manager, I like to use it internally because it puts that tracker on it. So like Matt was saying, when it does get completed, you get a message back. So it's not like you have to micromanage or, make somebody feel like they're being micromanaged. If you ask them to do something, transfer or anything like that, once it gets done, you'll get the message back in Eclipse showing that it was done.
Yeah. Let me see. I think there might be one or two things in the chat. DJs or Ray, or we could unmute Ray. Is there a way to search for a message from a specific person and pull up all of their messages? Okay. Well, I mean, Ray, do you want to unmute yourself? Or
Yeah. Say, for example, I was talking with John earlier this week, and I said that I sent an email or a job queue to someone, and it took me forever to find it. I would like to know, could I just type in, for example, say Eileen, and pull up all of the job queues that we've had back and forth?
okay, well, I guess two things. I just closed it down. Where'd my messages go? Oh, it went back. So within messages, sometimes when I have two monitors going, it puts it on the other screen. So so from Eclipse messages, it's organizing. It is grouping by sender, but you could search your messages for a specific person. I just typed Eileen, so that's going through the messages, and then within, this is where I'm saying this job queue screen, you kind of decide, is this screen useful, or is it just kind of another screen cluttering up your world? But within the job queue screen, there is selection. This might be more work, honestly, but you could do selection criteria, and then, like from user Eileen, or you can do like a text search. I think for people who are doing a whole lot of job queues, searching this way might be useful, but searching just through your messages for a specific person or text might be faster.
Hey, Ray, sometimes what I would do if it's a job queue that I know I'm going to come back to and I don't have time for it, you can print the job queue off and it has the number and everything like that. Sometimes I'll just print it off. That way I don't have to look, go back through and look through. I know what you're talking about, but I'll just print it off knowing I'm going to come back to it. And then I have it, the number of the job queue.
Okay.
Chris, wouldn't it be easier for you to go in the job queue and give it an effective date or a time stamp so it comes back up? Like a follow-up date?
Yeah, but I think Ray was just trying to search for one, from the past. So
Exactly. I was looking for a specific message so that I could, prove that I did, reach out to that person, I eventually found it, but I had to dig through all of those messages.
Yeah, so I guess I just kind of put it out to everybody to maybe, when you have a little time, maybe explore using the job queue screen to see if that makes life any easier than just going through messages. I think the answer is going to vary person by person, kind of what's easier.
This has been some really great discussion. I really appreciate it. I've learned some things. Any other thoughts, questions, comments?
Wait, is there something else in the chat? Hold on.
Oh, it might be personal chat to you. So there's nothing in the group chat. So if you've got things.
Nope, that was early. Again, I apologize for that 2 or 3 minutes where I was fumbling on the laptop keyboard. I'm not sure why my normal keyboard kind of had a moment this morning.
That's okay, Matt. Well, Murphy's Law. Got to go wrong.
What's interesting about job queues, because I did search, I don't know of any other way to send them like within a sales order other than hitting that Shift F4. I was thinking, oh, maybe you can right click or, click on some menu. You gotta get that combination Shift F4 or function Shift F4 if you're on your laptop.
Okay, well, I think we hear nothing else. We'll assume that can be the end of the job queues tutorial today. I will write about email notifications because that's a really great question. And if anyone has any further follow-up, please reach out. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, everyone. Thanks to everyone for all your thoughts and contributions too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, bye everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Good day.
See you.